Hello, I'm Executive Chef Joseph Schutzer. Welcome to our kitchen. Today I'd like to share with you another one of my favorite Hungarian dishes, babgulya. Essentially, it is just like the traditional Hungarian goulash, but they add beans to it and some substitutions when it comes to vegetables. Personally, I love as many vegetables as you can put into a goulash as possible. Some people prefer more of the meat. To each his own. So join me now as I show you how to make this incredibly amazing soup that is great any time of year. Well, to begin, we have our babuash going with the fire. I will start by adding a little bit of oil. I don't worry about adding too much to it because some additional oil will be made with my bacon scraps. So that I have is the homemade mangalitsa that I had smoked and cured. So we're going to cook this and render as much fat as possible. Now that our oil is coming up to temperature and the bacon is beginning to render the fat, let's go ahead and add our onions. We're going to go ahead and want to sweat these until they get nice and caramelized. Well, now that our onions are caramelized, let's go ahead and add our meat. So I have one pork hock here. It's unsmoked, raw, and I have some short rib here, beef short ribs. Put the bones in, and now just add all the meat. The reason I'm putting the meat in first now is because I want to develop some color on it, and then help get what's called fond. That is the material that sticks to the bottom of the pan. It helps bring lots of flavor and color to your soup, your stock, or whatever you're making. So we're going to allow this to cook for about 15 minutes or so until we get some nice color. All right, now that our meats have begun cooking up, what I like to do is I will add my tomatoes, my garlic, bay leaves, ground caraway seed, some cheaposh paprika, which is spicy paprika, and Adesh paprika, which is sweet paprika. I'm also going to add a touch of salt. Let's give it a stir, and we're going to allow this to cook for a few minutes. We're letting all the liquid from the tomatoes deglaze the pan, and you don't want it to burn either. You got to be careful with the paprika. It's lots of sugar content in it, so it burns very easily. All right, so we got that there. Let's give it about 5 minutes to cook. Now that it's simmering good, there's a couple other products I like to use. It's optional. It's called a goulash creme. It is basically a paprika cream. And also the cool thing with it is it contains caraway in it, which is already needed for goulash. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop for your spices. And also Piros Arany. Red gold is what that translates to. And that's a paprika paste. Just incredible stuff. Oh yeah. So we're going to stir this around, cook it 5 more minutes. All right, now that our base is made, let's go ahead and add our water. And we're gonna allow this to cook and simmer for about an hour. The short rib is going to take that amount of time because it's a tougher cut of meat. But the great thing about it is there's some really good marbling, so there's ample fat and lots of flavor. So we're gonna allow this to simmer. Keep an eye on the water level. If the water boils too hard, you can always raise your babuash to slow down the cooking, or you can just simply add more water to it. Well, now that our meat has been simmering for about 30 minutes or so, 40 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and add my beans. We're gonna allow these to cook until they are tender. Should take about 40 to 45 minutes because these were soaked overnight. There we are. cooking up nice, reduction, and also the liquid, the broth itself, got a little more viscosity because of the starch from the beans cooking out. The beans are ready to go. I tested them. So now we're gonna add our vegetables. Let's give it a stir and allow this to simmer for another 10 to 15 minutes. Once the vegetables are tender, we're gonna adjust our seasonings, salt, pepper, and or paprika and whatnot. And once we season to taste, we're good to go. There we are. Everything is ready. The vegetables are done, beans, meat. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to remove it from the heat. I'm going to taste it and adjust seasonings accordingly, and we're ready for service. Well, there you have Babgulya. Very easy to make, and it's such a great soup. Even on a day like today, it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit with 80% humidity. I did make one mistake though during the cooking process. I don't know if anyone paid attention or caught it. Whenever you're cooking beans, never ever salt the water. You always cook them in a plain stock or plain water unsalted. The salt has an adverse effect on the exterior of the bean and makes it much harder. Fortunately, I only put a little bit of salt in it and realized I was adding beans to it. In my mind, I guess I was thinking I was only making a regular traditional goulash. Again, feel free to use any cut of meat that you like. For a faster cook time, obviously use something boneless and more tender, tenderloin or something. Pork shoulder manages to cook pretty quickly anyway, so that's kind of, it doesn't really matter. Vegetables, put as many vegetables as you like or don't like. Potatoes are actually good in it as well. Have fun with it. So I hope you enjoyed the demonstration. Enjoy the recipe, give it a shot. If you make it at home and do it a different procedure, a different technique, try it my way just to see the difference between the flavor that you get from the bone meat and by cooking the meat first somewhat and developing all those flavors and a great foundation for an outstanding stock. Thank you for joining. Eggeşeger.